you know, obviously it's limited. Thanks Konami for just ruining everyone's fun. Way to ruin one of the coolest decks you've ever made for this garbage Snake Eyes trash that's just ruining everyone's enjoyment of the game. Thank you once again. You guys are a great company. Welcome back to the channel. We have another budget deck profile for all my fiends that are trying to dunk on the meta without spending too much money, which in my opinion, the smartest guys out of us all. Think about it. Just because you got money don't mean you got to spend it, in the words of Ocho. Anyway, today I got the budget Unchained deck profile. Let's just get into it. All right, so this is the budget Unchained profile. I'm going to address the elephant in the room immediately. This is SP Little Knight. This card is absolutely insane and Unchained. You don't need it. If you can't afford it, just take it out. Nightmare Unicorn suffices. You can just run a third Yama or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Yes, SP is nice. If you have it, sweet. If not, you don't need it. You can take it out. Boom, you're fine. You don't need it. Just because it's there doesn't mean you need it. You don't need it. You just have to play with your resources more carefully. Unicorn will function as the same, do the same job, but you have to have hand advantage to be able to use Unicorn. That's the only difference, right? So just wanted to address that. Now let's get into it. So we're just going to do a real quick overview. Triple Tour Guide. This is your best starter. People are cutting it, and some people have been cutting it for favor of like Sacred Beast Engine, or possibly to be able to run more Berserk Archfiend, so they bump up like Rakeas and stuff. I think that's absolutely insane. This card is still one card combo. This deck just gets kind of dunked on now by like Nib and certain hand traps, but overall it's still nice. You want to run Tour Guide. Your next starter is Aruha, right? I bumped up the trap count. You run 3 and 3. Right? You want to run it. I almost ran Wailing, but I just wanted to cut more space for non-engine, so I don't run Wailing. But these 6 traps, you're going to see them about 50% of the time. With Abomination's Prison, that raises the percentages even more. Pot of Prosperity, Foolish, you're going to be able to Foolish Sharvara. So you're able to see these traps very often, very, you know, you're able to get to your combo, right? So this is technically like a 1.5 card starter in a way. Sharvara is another, it's like a better version of this, but you know, obviously it's limited. Thanks Konami for just ruining everyone's fun. Way to ruin one of the coolest decks you've ever made for this garbage Snake Eyes trash that's just ruining everyone's enjoyment of the game. Thank you once again. You guys are a great company. I'm just going to stop talking. Foolish Burial becomes another really good, not one card starter, but a really, really good starter slash extender. It can send Sharvara. It can send Shayama. It can do so much. Ignore the 2 Shayama for now. I'm going to discuss that in a minute. Triple Abomination's Prison. That's another 3 Aruha or 1 Sharvara, or another 3 Sharvara or whatever. This card's just crazy. You have to run a Dark Contract with the Gate. Helps you summon your big bungus. You can go into your Zeus plays. It's too powerful not to run. You have to run it. Do so much. And it's your time card, right? It's way too powerful. Pot of Prosperity, another starter. So you have so many consistency cards. This is basically what? 17 at this point, right? 10... 7, 17, and then 6 traps, 23. These are not like starters, but they are like, if you draw them, you're on cloud 9. 1 Sarama for engine, 1 Rakea. This can be a starter if you draw one of the traps. Just it's one of the worst starters in the deck. Phoenix Rhino Warrior can be a starter, funny enough. Like you can pair it with like Aruha or Sharvara or even Berserk Archfiend, but it's a bad starter. Shayama, we'll talk about this last. Berserk Archfiend, it was like my 40th card. Basically, it's like an upstart. It's just like one more. If you draw it, cool, but you can't, like, if you put 3 of it in, you'll see multiples and just lose because of that. And if you, like, you can't rely on it. It's just like a cool, I drew it, I'll play it. Otherwise, I really don't care. This dude's for the requirement. You have to run him. This guy's really good. I wish I could run more, but just can't. Maybe there's a world where, like, if you reconfigure the deck, you run like this going second, like post side, you run like 3 of these, and then you just try to kill your opponent, like, because then you'll hard draw it, it'll chain block, and like 3,000 destroy something. Like it's crazy. And then unfortunately only 9 tech cards, which it might not be enough in this format, but this is a budget build, so no. We're just trying to help the budget players be able to compete in this format. So all my Unchained boys, stand up. Comment down below, Unchained forever. So that's the main deck. And then the last card to really talk about is Shayama. There are 2 options here. You can run Unchained. So you can run 1 Soul of Disaster instead of the 2nd Shayama, which changes the combo functionally just a little bit. But this helps you and hurts you all at the same time. This lets you play kind of like how things were before, like the good old days. This makes you rework the whole combo, where if you have this in deck, the only time it functionally will come up where it's awesome is if your opponent is an idiot and Nibirs you at the completely wrong time. So if they Nibir you way too early, then you can summon this thing out, link with their Nib, and then just like go off. But for the most part, you can beat those players anyway. Do not run this card, because that scenario will not pop up. The second Shayama will pop up a lot more. And so this will help you get, like with this, you can still set up a board with Caesar, Rage Engrave, with Sharvara in hand, and a trap or two set. And so you're able to get like everything, like back in the day. This will not help you. The red, you just bump up the red dog in the extra deck to 2, and they'll do the same thing this thing does. This thing only came up in that one combo where you could like summon using, when you got nibbed, you would like reborn this, pop it, then summon back Sarama, then Sarama would summon the red thing back, and then like you just be able to make like a Nightmare Griffin. It doesn't work anymore. Don't run Disaster. It's unfortunate. Sharvara being hit basically eliminates this from like any potential to be played again. But yeah, so that's the main deck. Side deck is just triple droll. You want to see like impact cards. This card stops FTK decks. DD Crow. A lot of people are down on this card. Some people are saying it'll run like Ghost Bell. Card's very strong. It can hit so many different things in the format. Like just hitting a Flamberge is so powerful. Like what are they going to do? Like they're comboing off and you just go, let me get rid of the Flamberge. Like if they're pure Snake Eyes, they can get a second one. But like dude, one DD Crow does do a lot. Ash for like the random matchups like Brandon and stuff, even though Ash doesn't hurt Brandon that much. Like it does, but people have overrated that so much. And then Dark World Puppetry. This card is soul release for broke boys. You can easily dunk on your opponent. Dude, this thing post side going second, like a DD Crow with this, like you've already taken away, you've soul released them like through 2 turns, and like this helps set up grave. Like it's just so good. And then it has a graveyard effect, like broken, bro, broken. And then triple anti-spell, just because it's really strong card. It can, like, this deck, if you play it right, it still will lose the same way as it did before, like massive amounts of board breakers. So if you set up your standard board and your opponent hasn't hand trapped you to death, and you set anti-spell post side, right, going first, you just won that game. You move on to game 3 and try to win that, right? Like anti-spell hard carries. I would not run summon limit, because if they do break your board with like a board breaker, you can't like float, like you can't do anything, and then summon limit just blocks you. Like anti-spell is way better in this deck. You should not run summon limit. Then like we talked about SP, you don't need to run it. You can cut this easily. Just run a third Yama. Gives you massive amounts of grind game. It's awesome. Helps you return stuff from grave. It's really good. Double Yama. Wish I could run 3, just don't have space. I would honestly cut Zeus like and put another Yama in, just because that's how good Yama is. Double Soul of Rage. You want to run 2, no more. 3 Soul of Anguish. This is now more important, because not having Disaster, this can still like link away to your opponent's Nibiru, so that they can't out your Caesar or whatever you set up post Nib. So it's just, yeah, you definitely want to run this. And then 1 for the grind game, obviously. 1 Abomination, just because the card's so cool looking. No, I'm just kidding. It's super powerful. It blows up like half their field. It's literally a board breaker in itself. Muckracker Griffin combo. It's still possible. It's just not that good. Honestly, it might it's so rough, man. It's so rough. But like, the deck is still good. Like the deck is functional. It can play. It's just, it's a masochist deck, right? Just like how Simo has that masochist Master Duel series. Like playing Unchained is like masochist in real life. 1 Caesar. 1 Deus Machinix. This card is like MVP in the extra deck. Carries, so it's a fiend type. It pops stuff, pops your opponent's, pops yours, shuffles back your card. You literally get life points, all because this dude and this Vice King guy is too good. Zeus, hardly ever go into him honestly, but he is a powerhouse. Like randomly in simplified grind games, like you put this guy on the field, they just lose, especially against like Fire King crap. Like they just, everything goes to grave instead of being destroyed. And then Typhoon. He's really cool. Like if your opponent makes a Typhon, you can actually like link away with Soul of Rage and then make a Yama. And it's like randomly you just gotta search. But it's not the best. Like you'd rather go SP anyway and like whatever. But yeah, this is the deck. Obviously it's like a skeleton. For your personal like locals, regional scene, whatever. Obviously, the side deck might look a little bit different. This is tailored basically to beat like Snake Eyes, and then also have some like decent into like FTK decks and whatever. But like Imperm, Nib, hard carry. Talons is really good against Snake Eyes. DD Crow is really good against Snake Eyes. Dark World Puppetry. I know some people are like, why don't you run Veiler? Imperm Veiler are so good against Snake Eye Ash. Dude, I just ran it in the Columbus Regionals in Branded. I had Imperm, I had Veiler, I had everything, bro. 3 times I'd Imperm them and they'd still make full combo. Like, they just would not have Fire King stuff. They'd have full Snake Eye stuff. And it's like, it's not what people are thinking. You need like power cards. And I'd rather them play, commit, and then you DD Crow Flamberge, and then they just lose all their grind game. They have nothing after that. They can't like float back and do whatever. Like, who cares, bro? They got an Ash to search and other things. So what? DD Crow, get rid of the Flamberge. Just avoid the Oak. The Oak might be able to summon it back. But oh well, bro. Like, ish happens, bro. Ish happens. You know what I mean? So let's get out of here. We're just going to do some test hands real quick, right? So this test hand, I mean, Unchained is tough, man. Unchained sometimes will brick. Sometimes we'll have really weird hands. You'll never have weirder hands than with Unchained. But let's just do this standard stuff. Let's just banish. Banish. Banish, that's 3. Banish 4. Banish 5. Dang, it's just like slaughtering my deck. I don't want to banish this, but I might have to. Because like this hand doesn't have any combo. It has like this and this, which could be combo, but it's a really wonky combo. I'd much rather... Oh yeah, this banishes face down. I guess it doesn't matter. Let's do mill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, and now we drew like combo right here. We don't want to add the Abomination's Prison because if they are on Droll, right, you could hard play into that and just lose. So then we'll just add this to hand. And then this goes to bottom of the deck, bottom of the deck, bottom of the deck. All right. And then we'll set this card and clear Aruha, actual summon, pop. And so here's the dilemma, right? We'll use the Abominable Chamber effect. I'll just do this so I remember that I used it. Abominable Chamber effect, like to summon, you have 2 options here. This hand, Loki hard loses to like, probably, yeah, it loses hard to Nib and it loses somewhat to Imperm. So you can do one of 2 things. You can go into Shayama, pop the Aruha, and then Shayama, Aruha, Shayama and Sharvara to, because you summon off Aruha, summon the Sharvara, and then you'll be able to make Yama and play through Nib easier, but you won't be able to play through Imperm as bad. But having the gate in your hand to extend means that probably you want to skip, yeah, you want to skip the Shayama play. Usually people would go, like in my old combo video, I always said like, make Sharvara, make Shayama, make Yama, and then you start everything, right? Those are the starts. But I wouldn't do that because here, if you have Shayama and then you pop the Aruha is, that one pop is going to be needed later in the combo for you to get full board. Where if you popped it right now with Shayama, you would have less. And if you do get impermed on the Yama, it's going to hurt. But it's one of those things where the deck's obviously worse now, right? Like what hurts it is if I were to summon Shayama, pop, make Sharvara, right? Then do that. That Aruha not being able to float later impacts the combo where your opponent can just wait till the last possible moment, nib your ass, and then you completely lose. Where here, if you do get impermed, it's not the end of the world. It'll hurt, but it's not like absolute destruction. So like, for example, we already got the Sharvara. We have Shayama in hand. There's a way to get him out. So we'll just go to grave, special summon, and then Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. And so we use the Ruha's effect. We want to use a normal summon. Like we want to grab our normal summon. Our normal summon will do Sarama, because we're still not affected by Nib. So we'll do escape to get both. Spell trap. So we've got both traps in rotation. Then we'll normal summon the Sarama. And so this is why it's important, right? We have the escape already. This is why we went down this line, where if we didn't play this way, if we summoned the Shayama and played around the imperm too much, we would hard lose. Where once Sharvara went to grave, we set escape, we have Dark Contract, we still get everything we need anyway. But so this is why it's important, right? This is now 4 summons, so we don't get dunked on Nib. We get to resolve Sarama's effect. So we go here, special summon, and then it's obviously it's set, but whatever, pop it, and because we didn't use its effect already, we get to use its effect now, where it becomes infinitely better. And so we'll get the Shayama from deck on the field. And now we're going to be applying a pressure to our opponent, right? Our opponent now can nib us, theoretically, right? If they nib us, we have this card we can pop and summon basically like full board and not have to worry about nothing. So if they won't nib us here because people have been brainwashed with this deck, like, wait till the 2/6s. When the 2/6s pop out, then you nib them, right? So you go to grave, but like what they're doing here is they're just building their own graveyard. So we'll make this boy, right? And so now, are they going to nib here? They could. It wouldn't be a horrible position to nib in. But usually they will not because there's no negate. There's no negate to threaten the nib. So we'll declare this and target this guy. Pop it, special summon, and declare this boy and grab the Sharvara back to hand. And now they're in a weird position, right? Because we have Sharvara back in hand. We can't really lose to nib now. We have escape set. And so the only way they can react now is like if we go declare, pop this, and then use its effect to special summon the one from hand, unfortunately, that we drew. And now they have to nib. Like, they've got no other option. And so if they nib us here, fine, whatever. We can still make our plays. If they don't, obviously you end on Caesar, right? You make Caesar, you have this, you have Sharvara, and you have Yama engrave with Soul of Rage. Like, you have everything. If they do nib us here, so let's say this goes to bottom of the deck, and this one goes to grave, because it was summoned properly. We have this escape set. We can activate, clear, destroy, escape, special summon, effect, and then effect, banish this, special summon, and the escape will summon back the Shayama, and then you just overlay these two, right? And so, yes, it's not like the old way where like, oh man, we Nightmare Griffin, then whatever. You still can do that. But here, like, we got nibbed. Oh yeah, and like they have a token, right? So, hold on, I forgot the token. Let's say we have token, or they nibbed us here, and let's say they have token also. Not token, they have nib. They're nibs right here, so we have to keep track of that. So right now, we might have to link away with this, and then like make SP or Nightmare Unicorn or whatever. Another way you could do it is, unfortunately, we banished. Man, they just increased like crazy. So if you're really afraid of the nib, right? If you can't if you want to interact with it, one of the things you could do is special summon with the gate. You could special summon Requiem, and then link away with this guy. Make the 3. And then with the 3, link away with the nib. The problem there is it just it does the same thing that linking away on their turn would do with Solar Rage. So it's rough. Like, it obviously puts you in a position. Ideally, we drew really rough drawing the Shayama. That's the problem with this deck. You'll draw the bricks. I've cut the bricks down as low as I can, and it's a 40 guard deck. It's super consistent, but you're gonna see these weird hands. So, and I'm sure I haven't played this deck in a minute. I'm just kind of showing you guys how to still play it today. I mean, I play it once in a while with my buddies, or if I go to locals or whatever, just throw it down. But it's hard. It's a slog to really get through some of these hands. So let's just do a real quick reset, just to see what else we can draw. So if you look at this, it's an interesting hand. It's a really weird hand. But if you do the standard, okay, we drew the Berserk Archfiend, which is interesting. If we were to set a card, right, and then we just do prison, and then they droll us, just kidding. We add a Ruha to hand, baby. Come to my hand, boy. Activate a Ruha effect, special summon, pop, and then grab the Almighty. See, so we'd go Sharvara again because we have extenders, and then activate Berserk Archfiend, popping Sharvara, or Sharvara, Aruha effect. So we summon 1, 2, 3. Shayama would be 4. That's the dilemma now. That's the dilemma for show. And then you link away this and this. Make the almighty Yama effect. Set escape, right? Yeah. Set escape and add. You have it normaled, so scrap Sarama. And then normal summon Sarama, right? Like our opponent now can nib us. Now the dilemma is again on us. We pop the Aruha. That's the issue. What we could do is revive this trap, pop this trap, and then get another extender. But what we can do is just... Not having a spell trap extender in our hand means we can't really mess around here. So let's just go for it. Send a grave. Send a grave. And like you could... What am I doing? Oh, I'll put that back later. You make that. And then like here's the thing. Your opponent can nib you, but it really never like becomes that... Like it becomes good, but revive this trap to pop this effect, add this to hand. And so now like with the way we executed that, like the Berserk Archfiend was actually really clutch. We'll special summon this, popping the Sarama, and then special summon the almighty Shayama. And like now, right, like if your opponent has nib, cool, right? You still have like revival, right? So that really helped. But yeah, you could just do like it's like end board, right? And like this is still broken. Like what is your opponent gonna do? Like even Snake Eyes, like how the hell are they gonna play through this? Yeah, I drew this guy unfortunately in my hand, but like you got Sharvara pop. This thing will summon itself. Pitch the nib, pop, summon Rage back with Yama, negate 2, pop a card. Like that's like 12 interrupts. One of those becomes an SP or a Nightmare Unicorn, right? If you keep this in hand. So like as you can see, like it's still kind of crazy. We'll just do a couple more as it was demanded. All right. So real quick, what we'll do is, obviously I think you guys can see this line's crazy. Like you have Foolish, you have Tour Guide, you have everything. Let's see another hand. I just want to see a really particular hand. All right, whatever. Let's do this. Normal effect. Special summon right now. Yama. Chilling 1, chilling 2. We'll set escape. Arua. And then we'll set this thing. Activate effect. Pop. Special summon. Shayna. Clear effect. Pop this thing. So, for example, if I go here, if I go like this, instead of like Sarama, right? Because at the end of the day, Sarama can't really get me anything too crazy here. I'm not trying to like overextend. You could still make like full board, especially with gates here and everything. Like this kind of like puts your opponent in a position where like they have to nib now. Like there's no other option. If they don't nib you here, like if you go anything and they don't have nib, you're balling. If this was that Soul of Disaster, you would be boned, because then they could just wait, and then at the end you just go pop Disaster. Like for example, this is Disaster, this is Shayama, right? For example, obviously, like if these are both Shayamas, like they are, we just like, hey, do you have nib? No. We would go send this to grave, make Blue Dog, pop Blue Dog, bring back Sharvara to hand, special summon back Shayama, make Caesar, imperm pass. But since we know that we can do that, what would be kind of a way to disprove Disaster and how to show how bad it sucks? If I were to go like, let's say this is Disaster, where's the counter? Let's put a counter on. So this is Disaster, this is Shayama. You can't threaten here. Like if they have nib, they'll just hold. They don't care. You can't make anything. You use the Ruha, you can't even make Appaloosa. So you go send a grave, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm gonna make dog. Okay, and then I'll use my Shayama effect to pop the dog. Right, send this to grave, special summon, and then I forgot to send Sharvara, whatever. Skip the step. Let's throw it in the grave anyway. Let's try to speed through this. Alright. So, Char's engraved. So we popped the Disaster with Shayama. Special Shayama back. Now, Disaster effect. Declare. Special summon. Now they'll nib you. And if they nib you, this goes to grave. No effect because we already used it. This goes to the bottom of the deck. This goes to grave. And all you have set is this. You've got nothing. Like, theoretically, you could maybe make like another Yama. But, dude, like, you're so boned. Like, you could make another Soul of Rage with Gates because you could pop the escape. But that's all you have. You have nothing. It's like terrible. So, this is kind of the dilemma why you shouldn't run Disaster. Disaster makes no sense. If you run it as an additional card, like Disaster and the 2 Shayama, you're going to see them too much. You're just going to lose. So, that's it here for this combo and deck profile. If you guys enjoyed this Unchained deck profile / combo video / just kind of test hands, theorizing, thinking. It's a very hard deck to pilot nowadays. There's so much nuance and intricacies. The problem is in this format, you have Imperm, you have Valor, which I showed why you're going to have to play into those cards. If you don't, you basically is the dilemma, right? In the first instance where you make Shayama like the old ways, and then make Sharvara, and then make Yama, that way you play around Imperm and Valor just like the old days. But you play so hard in a nib, you just lose. Or do you go back into the more bad combo that people used to play, where you go Aruha, summon Sharvara, and now when you summon Yama, if you don't have the correct extender, you will just lose. So that's the dilemma. What do you do? I think it's hand dependent, and you got to pick something and just play around it. Nib is not that popular. Like, okay, that's a reach. Nib is very popular. It's in so many main and side decks, but it's a 3 of. There's 3 nibs, and there's 6 to 9 targeted effect negations. And so in today's format, it's probably correct to just play around the targeted negations. And yes, still do the Shayama, Sharvara. I just wanted to show you guys in the old video that I had, which was a very good combo video, but it plays a little bit too hard into nib, but plays around the more common hand traps like Valor and stuff like that. This test hands was showing you how you can play a little bit more around the nib, but play more into those. But unfortunately, those targeted hand traps are still such a part of the game that you want to play around them more. So reference the old video. I'll link it down below in the description and up top. That video will kind of show you how to play. The deck is for the most part the same. I haven't changed much because truly, like, other than adding like the puppetry in the side deck and a few other like minor tweaks, the deck is still the same, functions the same. You want to run it the same way. It's a lot. You're playing a worse deck. It's a handicap, right? Snake Eyes has the best deck. They have the advantage over you, right? So you just have to figure out like little like advantage can you squeeze out. And Unchained does have somewhat of an advantage against Fire King Snake Eye. They don't destroy all the time, right? They can link away with your stuff, which kind of outs like a lot of different stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna quit my rambling. I'm getting tired. I gotta go to bed. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you're running this format, what you're thinking. Like, how do you beat this trash ass Snake Eye deck? How, except like maybe Konami clobbering over the head with an emergency ban list. Do we all just run Gimmick Puppet Lock? Probably the move. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below. Keep up with the content. Like the video. Ding that notification bell. Give me your love. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.